Hey everyone, this is the Villain's Man bringing you our 5th edition D&D game, The Ancient War Reborn. I'm your DM, JVD of the Bearded Bastards.
Hey guys, I'm Evan the Great, Villain's Demand, also part of the Bearded Bastards here on the crew of our D&D. Playing Luda Silverstring, the Elven Bard Paladin of Bahamut Harper Agent. And things just got intensified. Is that the word?
Intensified?
Yeah, intensified, there we go.
Hey, I'm the Bearded Wonder with the Villain's Demand. I'm playing Vesper North, the Moon Elf Rogue / Warlock, the Voice of Cloth.
And the bastardest of them all.
Yep.
I'm Smiley for the Villain's Man playing Urat Whitehammer.
Luda, give us the recap.
Alright, recap, Luda gets back to the Harper compound. I guess I'm downstairs and I'm downstairs already, and here coming down the stairs I see my friend Vesper and Ruthier, who have not seen Vesper in 6 days. She's got back and she's been in the bed since I got back. I run down, I know she's got a different, I would say glow to herself, a red tint in her eyes and a new tattoo on her arm. As I approach her to, be friendly and be the, shake hands, hug, whatnot, it's very difficult. It feels like there's something pushing us apart. As we get to talking, I tell her my adventures and how I've become a follower of Bahamut. He has chosen me to be his champion, and the Judaline Dragons are going to fight with us. Come to find out, she's also been blessed by a dragon, but not the answer I wanted to hear. Come to find out, it's evil. Yeah. What's his name?
Well,
Can you say it? I don't even say his name no more.
Oh, snarl himself.
it's he who must not be named.
Knowing that his friend Vesper,
The red fucker.
or her friend Vesper, is in dire need to get Ruthier back. I know that he went through extreme measures to bring her back. I wish he would have picked an alternative method besides letting Cloth do it. But we're in this situation, and no matter how evil somebody is, as long as they're still against Tiamat and part of the Greenfield Company, which I don't believe Vesper's evil, but if I start seeing evil tendencies, things are going to get dicey. She's still going to take her in, but it's going to be less words, and I would say anger, but disappointment. And that's always the one you don't want to hear. I'm mad. When you hear I'm disappointed, you know something serious. So she is very disappointed, but she will fight along Vesper and fight the Tiamat.
Once again, a very, very long recap from Evan the Great. Folks, are you awake? Let's continue on. You guys leave with Leosin, and apparently the King of Gauntlegrim is requesting an audience with the Lord's Alliance. You guys arrive. Everybody on the Lord's Alliance looks like they're on pins and needles. Everybody seems nervous about this. Everybody, I don't know what skill this would be. Is history a skill anymore?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, everybody, you two, roll me a history knowledge.
Which two?
You and Vesper. Look, he's not here. Ward's not here.
I'm proficient in history, though.
I got 8.
I wrote 2, so that's like a 7.
Neither one of you guys are really aware of the King of Gauntlegrim. You just kind of heard about him due to the Twin Queens, Malabridges, and Tenebridges. Everybody's on pins and needles, and in through the door walks a familiar face as you're sitting there waiting.
I present myself, Urat Whitehammer, Scion of Gauntlegrim, presenting his king, Bruna Battlehammer, king of all dwarven kind, and I move to the side and bow.
Holy shit, I kneel.
A lot of people at the table, they all stand up and they all give a big bow. The 25th of Hammer, and you guys have been graced by a very well-known king throughout the realms. And he's, blah, no need for this. kind of waves you guys off, and where's me seat? And, he goes, he finds an empty seat. Brunor, are you standing by Brunor,
Yeah.
or are you going towards them?
I'm staying with Bruno.
Okay.
I'll give them a nod as I pass.
Should be very enlightened. I feel my friend has found.
A lot of resolve.
Yeah.
Much like Vesper. Feel like a new man, right?
And with my role of such things, I'm just going to assume I don't notice anything different about
Fair enough.
her. But other than this, he seems happy.
Oh, I probably have my cloak on now, so.
You see that there's some mixed emotion, Vesper and Luda, within the room. Lady Silverhand and Lord Nevermember seem a little kind of uneased when he comes in. If you guys recall that the twin queens, there is some not a lot of love between them and Nevermember, and you're kind of thinking, man, this is probably going to get worse because now their husband's here. And he sits down and he says, "Now tell me, what is the point of this Lord's Alliance?" You know, and he just kind of rattles off everything the queens have told him. And Lady Silverhand, who is the head of the council, she goes to speak up. She says, "Well, we're all here to prevent this cult of the dragon and these giants attacks." And he's like, "And you need me help." And they just kind of look at each other. And, he turns and he looks at you, Ward.
They can need all the help they can get. They do not see a true foe before them unless it's hit by somebody else.
He says, "Show him."
The flask? I'll pull out the iron flask. I'm assuming it's glowing red hot.
Yeah, it's very warm to the touch. Like you probably it's probably wrapped up, and you can see that it is smoldering when he holds it.
Magetta.
And everybody's eyes get really wide when they see this. Winterhound and from the Emerald Enclave, him and Eldhilary, and then Malandrak, the Elf King from the Misty Forest, they both lean forward in anticipation as they see this. And Nevermember looks at you and Orin. He looks at you and Bruno, and he says, "You're going to kill us all."
Or save us all.
Says, "There is no saving us with that beast."
There's no saving us with the bloody god of dragons either.
He goes, Bruno tells you, "Put it back once. If it goes free, I'll put it back again." And he looks at you and he says, "Right."
Right, my king.
He says, "Now, give me one good reason why I should help all of you." And he kind of looks around at everybody and stares everybody in the face. You can already tell Vesper Luda, you've never met this king, this dwarven king. You can tell he's very cut and dry. He's very to the point. He says, "Let me remind you all, instead of worrying about your own needs," he says, "like you always do," he's like, "let me remind you, over a century ago, when the orcs came to the dwarven kingdoms, and instead of helping us battle them, you gave them a piece of the land. And then a few years ago, when they came for us, when they destroyed Felbar, they came for Adbar, none of you helped." He says, "Give me a reason why I should help you." And you see a lot of heads hang. You see Sir Esteban, and he kind of hangs his head. Raven Guard from Baldur's Gate, so far to the south, can't even look at Brunor. Haven Tree, this woman representing the Harpers, she can't look his way either. Silverhand just kind of hangs her head in disgust, like she knows she was wrong. Like the weight of what had happened a century ago has fallen upon her shoulders. Nevermember looks at him with disgust as he says this. There's a couple of nods of approval also. The Salivars from Gauntlet Ground with Roland, they kind of nod their heads in approval. Being such a new faction to the realms, you would gather what you know of them that they would send aid during this war. Hornblade from Silvery Moon puffs his chest out in pride and shakes his head. They had aided the dwarves. Winterhound, some of the elves from the High Forest, near Adbard, Feldbard, helped free them dwarves. He nods his head in approval. As does Varys from Luskin with the Arcane Brotherhood, for they are allies of Gauntlet Ground. And so does Melindrash of the Misty Forest, the Elven King. He nods. It's all silent. You guys can speak up if you want.
Because it is our duty to be better.
And he says, and as I've told Orin, everyone wants to take and all what to give. That's not what we've talked about.
In extent.
He says, here, an enemy of the dwarves, giant kind, fire giants, seek to ally with us, and here I am to give. And he says, this should make you all think long and hard, look deep within yourself, and ask if you're here for the right reasons. And everybody at the board's alliance starts to look around at each other. You can tell that he has very struck a nerve. And everybody kind of realizes that it is time to put aside their petty differences, their needs. You can slowly start to see the understanding from everybody. This king from Gauntlet Ground has brought this powerful beast and is willing to give it up to shut down Gauntlet Ground, his kingdom, the ancient dwarf home, take the power from the host tower at Luskin, just to win this war. And everybody realizes that if he is willing to go this far, that they themselves should do the same. He says, now tell me, these giants, who do we count as allies?
Harsnag, Frost Giant. He is in Maelstrom now, the capital of the Storm Giants. And from my reckoning and from the voice of Jafnar before his passing, several Storm Giants could be counted as allies. Duke Zolto offers allegiance and brings a weapon that could fight Tiamat herself.
As you say this, Hadarari Breverin, his envoy, he stands up and he bows and he says, it's a pleasure to meet you, King Battlehammer. He says, I speak for Duke Zolto, as Orin has just talked, and he will be very pleased to have Mogera delivered to him. He says, I can tell you now, you can count him here as a member of the Lord's Alliance. You have our aid. And everybody looks around the table. Though some of them look skeptically, no one dare disagrees. Brunor continues on, says, so we've got the fire giants. Says, me boy, he's talking about some nasty hill giants. You've spoken of this one frost giant, this one cloud giant. What of their kind? Where do they stand?
We know that Blogorthkis is allied with Zolto. I have not had a chance to speak of any other kind other than Zephyros, who wishes to remain neutral.
He kind of looks around at everybody else, and no one has an answer.
For what?
Who they can count on with the rest of giant kind. I mean, technically, you have an army of one.
I know that there are stone giants allied with Blogorthkis, but I do not feel they are, through their own actions, I do not feel they are quite trustworthy in the exact sense.
Blah! Artesians.
Zolto says
They will tell of the war. No one wants them in the war.
Sorry to cut the king off.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to take offense.
Zolto said that he will bring all giant kind together underneath him.
Fix the ordinance.
Tells you, how long will that take? This war could start any day.
That's the
I'm
problem.
less
we don't
concerned
know.
about bringing all giant underneath him as to just rallying them against the dragons instead of infighting.
Silverhand, she got a. She's like, well, then maybe this is something we should take upon ourselves. She says, you have dealt with giants not too far from the Golden Fields, correct?
Hey, hill giants.
She tells you, then maybe that's a place to start.
I would be willing to go there.
Quite nasty.
She says, the only problem I see is the frost giants. They've never quit their raiding. Every 10 day there seems to be a report somewhere in the north. She's like, do you think your friend Harshnag could prevent this?
If we could get a hold of him.
Harshnag is not able to leave Nelson. However,
Varys asks you, why?
infighting is my best guess. The Storm King is missing.
He, Varys says, no need to be rude here. It's not my intention. He said, but is that no different from here until recently?
That's actually the point I'm making.
He says, when was the last time you guys talked to him?
It was in Iron Slab before coming down here. I know not how long I was in Gottoglen per se.
He says, have you been to this maelstrom? Anybody?
I know that lords of giant kind like Soto have ways to go there, or can't.
He says,
Zolto go get him.
they look at Brevin, the envoy, and he's like, does Zalto have this conch? He says, I do not know. But maybe we could talk him into using such a thing. I mean, the king of Gauntlegrim's been very generous. I'm sure such a thing would be nothing to Zalto if he seeks to sit atop the ordning.
I will speak to him personally about it.
He says, there's no need. I can do so fast.
Be thanks, friend.
He says, excuse me. He takes a step back, excuses himself, and he leaves the room. And he says, Brunor's like, so once our allies are together, when do we kill this god? As you can tell,
Yeah.
as quiet as you guys are now,
Yeah.
no one knows.
The,
You're learning quickly how much infighting has been going on.
Yeah.
There has really been no thought thrown towards this.
I'll tell King Brunor, I'll give him a nod first, because it's what's the right thing to do.
I will tell Brenner who she is.
I am,
Luda.
go ahead, he tells me, go ahead.
No, go ahead, introduce her.
The Silver String, right?
Yeah,
Silver
Luda
String.
Silver String.
Luda Silver String, a dear friend and ally. A member of Queensfield's company.
He says, a friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Tell you, once we first had this gathering and we proposed this ideal, it did not go through.
He says, such can be blamed on myself, me queens. We are very protective
Yes.
of the beast of Gauntlagrim.
As we all should be.
Tell him
And he
that
kind of nods his head.
one of my things that I thought the Greensfield Company should do at that point was to seek out try to find the location of where they're trying to resurrect this Tiamat dragon.
The Zint may have that information though.
I actually
I was waiting for him
is
to put
the
in.
envoy of the Zentarum here on the council.
You say this and she smiles.
And I look at it, Korean.
She has an insider.
You say that and Bruno spits in the floor when you say that. And she does not seem to fear him.
I'll tell him, be like, I agree, good king.
You should just do it at the same time.
And she says, it is true, I do have someone on the inside, but it's not something I feel the need to reveal until time is needed. It's a very powerful weapon you have there. Someone on the inside. I'm gathering what information I can, but to know when they are on the move will be the perfect time to strike. I suggest everyone prepare their army. Never remember in Raven Guard, they seem to look at her like, and what army do you have, is what Never Remember says. She says, my army, unlike yours, is not in one town. My army is everywhere.
They're like rats.
She speaks the truth.
She says, very true, and what are rats good at? Infesting areas people don't want them in.
Swimming little baggers.
And she says, when the time is right, she's like, I promise, everyone here at the Lord's Alliance will know. She's like, so I do suggest getting our armies together, securing the allies of these giants. She's like, talk to Zalto. He is needed. About that time, Reborn walks in the envoy and he says, Zalto has the conch. It's just a matter of getting it. He says, but the problem is Zalto has no control over the other giants. No one does. It's the reason the ordning is broken. He was like, he thinks that will be difficult to bring all of giant kind together. Giant kind is very much like you guys. Not a lot of trust. But Zalto, like King Brunor here, seems to be the only one with any sense of reasoning. Brunor gives him a stern look at him. You dare compare me to a giant? And his eyes get rolled. No. But until you showed up, there was not a lot of reasoning. It was a bunch of infighting. And Zalto planned to take this war to Tiamat, where much of the other giants only had themselves in mind.
And the Lord's Alliance ignored us when we sought aid from them the first time.
And Brunor, he kind of looks around. Not surprising.
Oh.
He says, so can you reach this Harshnag? You try.
I can try, sir, my king.
And he kind of nods for you to do so.
I will try to cast a sending.
Okay. You gotta give me that DC.
It's con save.
Yep, you're concentrating. Roll one.
I think it's 20.
Oh!
+8.
So, you beat this con save of a very hard 25. And,
Perfect timing.
and you could feel the resistance as you reach out to Harshnag. And you've gotten better at breaking through. And you do.
Building an army to fight Tiamat. Have fire giants. Seek storm, cloud, frost. Can you offer us aid?
As you do this, something is different this time.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You feel Harshnag, you feel the itch, you feel the connection, but you feel that there's someone else there. And they're stronger than you. You feel they're a bit agitated that you've broken through. And it just sits there and it listens. You hear Harshnag. He says, Princess Sarissa holds council with other leaders of giant kind today. If needed and allowed by her, I will come get you. Just say so.
Please.
So that's the end of your sending.
Yeah.
Are you going to try again?
I got 60 sons of bitches. No.
You're sweating.
Yeah.
This is very hard for you to do. And you see Barris smile. He says, "Good friend, you're not alone. Let me help you. You get advantage this time."
Thanks. 19 and 18, plus 8.
Ooh, boy. And
Quite the powerful wizard, my friend.
again, this time you feel the anger of whatever's there, and it is not happy. And you break free.
Whoever is listening, shite off. Horseleg, please pick me up.
You got more words, you better use them. What is that, 11?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can use your stone.
I'm trying to think
Tell them
what
where we are. We're in a line.
we are in Waterdeep. That's 15.
I would also tell him who's here. Your king and all that. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't waste the words.
Oh, okay.
Will be me, Vesper, Luta.
Unless you bring a snare.
Yeah. Because I don't know where we see it yet. That's 20.
Or Roustier's there. You've seen her.
Perception check.
Okay, you just kind of
Yeah.
got
You
you.
could also say Greensville Company instead of.
Or, yeah, just like Greensfield Company is here. That's 4 words. So I'm at 19.
Use them wisely.
Dick big.
Should you let him know we got the primordial?
That's the only one I told him in person. Because I feel like I know what we're working with. But
You get to ask why it's so difficult to get through.
who is listening? Will Zalto be there?
You feel resistance.
Yeah.
As in whatever this is trying to stop you. But it does not work. And you can feel Barris's powerful hands on your shoulders, and he's helping you fight this. And he tells you, "I do not know who you speak of.
Yeah.
We'll meet you a mile north on the tradeway in 3 hours." The sending ends, and Varys smiles. He says, "You've come a long way, Order. It's like, I'm proud of you."
Only with your aid, my friend.
He takes a bow.
Only with your gift.
He says, "It takes more than just a gift. It takes a strong mind."
And a lot of practice.
And Bruno turns around and he says, "Hey, then a strong mind he has." He says, "What did he tell you?"
We'll be picked up within 3 hours. Fellow Nizo, someone's been listening in to the sending. A mile north on the tradeway.
You kind of look around, and everybody kind of looks concerned.
Within Millstone, to clarify.
Silverhand asks, "Who could possibly be listening?"
Do you not know of storm giants, my friend?
She tells you no.
They're the highest seat of giant kind. Their domain is prophecy. Divination magic, if you would.
Bruno tells you, "Well then in 3 hours, meet your friend.
Hey.
Find out what you can." He says, "Until then, I'm staying in Waterdeep. Until we have a plan of action." He says, "Obviously, you buffoons at the table cannot make a decision without bickering amongst yourselves." He says, "I dare any of you to bicker with me here. You be tasting the axe if you do."
Keep them in line, my king.
And He snatches up the flask. He says, I'll be holding on to this. He says, until it's time to meet the Zalto.
I feel it's also important to say that today there's a meeting of all giant kind, held by Princess Orisa of the Storm Giants.
And the table just all kind of looks at each other like, wow. And the envoy of Ironslake's like, truly.
That is what I was informed.
Says, I wonder if Zalto knows of such a meeting.
I will send him a sending once this meeting is adjourned.
Says, no need. I can do this myself. He says, before you leave, please see me, and if Zalto has any wishes as you go to this maelstrom, he's like, I will have them.
No.
As the meeting is adjourned, Vesper, Luda, roll me insights.
No, 12.
12.
Oh, wow, okay. So what is that all together for both of you, though?
24.
That's just 12.
Your insight's a 24 and you're a 12?
No, as I said together.
Oh, no.
No, I rolled a 9. I only have 3.
Okay.
I have my wisdom minus 1.
Oh, so you
My
have
bad,
a 12.
13.
Okay, 13 we got.
12.
Okay.
I have a negative 1, but I got a plus 5, so, or plus 3.
Like most of everybody here on the Lord's Alliance and seeing this renewed, resolved aura amongst you, you both notice that there is one person who has really taken an interest in both of you. And it's Sir Estival.
Us?
Both of you, yeah.
Who's Sir Estival? Which one's that one?
The Purple Dragon Knight.
Oh,
Dragon Knight
shit.
from here. The guy who you
Our
talk to
buddy.
dragons about.
I forgot.
Our
Last time
buddy.
he seen me, I didn't have this shield.
And he looks at you with kindness, Luda. And there's a smile on his face. But Vesper, on the other hand, you can tell
Once again.
Just
he knows
Disappointment.
that you basically have made a deal with the devil. So the meeting is adjourned. Everybody gets up in their seats. And you guys would leave first because you're literally not members of the Lord's Alliance. Or do I take it you follow them? Or do you stay behind with Brunor?
I will ask you excuse so I may join my company.
He says, you need no permission from me.
Be king.
As you two leave, Esteval yells at you two. Luda, Vesper, a moment of your time.
Of course.
Yes.
Says, in private, please. And his eyes stay locked on you, Vesper. Or you automatically realize something's up.
Yeah.
You can feel the difference in the air around you. Just in the presence of these three people.
Yeah.
Snurp's kind of got you by your leg, and he's like, oh man, like you can tell he really realizes something's gone wrong, and you can just feel this tension in the air. Esteval pulls you guys into a private little room.
Do I now realize I'm by myself or you say which I thought was dead?
Yes.
Bloody hell, did he also come back? I just run up and like grab her with a big hug.
And she's very excited to see you, and quietly she tells you there's much to learn. And she doesn't sound thrilled.
Dun, dun,
Did
dun.
he also go come through?
When you say that, she just looks at Vesper, who is locked gazes with Sir Esteval right now. And she said, I'm sure you're about to learn.
Well, I thought they were walking off from private.
No, they are. Not like you were in the room with them. Like you went with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
He says, he's looking at Vesper and he kind of cuts eyes at Luda and he says, dragons, huh?
Yeah.
He says, I thought we were at war with dragons.
They don't like Tiamat as much as you might think.
This moment is,
But I'm
He
not
says,
confused.
says, I can believe that. Coming from Luda. He says, but you realize what you've done?
Yeah.
What's going on, Vesper?
He says, I've seen that mark before. He looks at you, you don't know.
so,
I just got back into Waterdeep. I spent the last several weeks in contact room.
Luda, he can tell that you know. He can tell Rusier knows. He's like, who all
Just them.
so, not to cut him off, but tell word. We both took the dragon approach. Hers, I do not agree with.
And yours?
I saw you the shield. Said, it came with a gift. Bahamut has blessed me.
Oh, bloody fair, right enough. But
He said, justice.
I
Justice
say-
will be served.
In the,
Roland has spoken of moments.
I'll tell you, in my adventure, I did not bring it up because last time we brought anything up, the whole damn table almost fought each other. The dragons also had a meeting, and I was present. They have decided that they are going to help us. The dragons.
This is wonderful news.
That's exactly what Esfar said. He said, that's great. He
But
said,
Vesper-
why didn't you say anything at the council?
I wanted, I told him I wanted to talk to King, what's his name?
King Brunar.
King Brunar. I said I wanted to let him know out of the room, because he's the only one that's got a head on his shoulders inside that room besides us.
He says, he's a wise king. He says, even in Mithril Hall, he's done many a great thing.
I've seen it firsthand, but Vesper,
Or Bustier.
I get quiet.
what is going on?
Taking that to you, man.
What are they talking about, Vesper? Or Lucia tell me that the Olsen didn't bring her back.
No, I brought her back.
You don't have the power to bring her back. How did you bring her back?
He said, Esfal says, tell him, Vesper.
I made a deal.
With what, Vesper?
Esfal says, Ord, you know the answer.
I decker.
Can I get opposing dexterity checks?
Really good at these. Yeah, that's 30.
It's just dexterity, right?
Dexterity check, yeah.
Yeah, not a skill check or anything?
No, just dexterity check.
How's it 30?
Oh. Okay. I was going off saving throw. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's what it is, dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, it's a saving throw. So 30.
Right.
So you still dodge.
Yeah, you realize she's much faster than what she used to be.
Vesper, you made a deal with a bloody damn worm.
As you jump forward, or Bustier tries to put her hands on you like to stop you. She's all right. You have to believe her.
What about us, Vesper?
I'm still me.
Your sword, your bloody sword.
And when you're saying this, you're looking at her, and her eyes are red, and they just kind of sparkle.
Could you not have waited? Leosa promised. I promised.
We don't
Could you not have faith in us? Could you not have faith in me? I thought you were my bloody best friend.
Gosh,
I stormed the fuck
You got
out.
him so pissed off he's bleeding.
No, I stormed the fuck out.
He slammed the door,
Yeah.
draws a lot of attention from people outside. They just kind of look. So the rest of all, it's like, well, that was unexpected.
No, that's pretty expected.
He's like, he just looks at you, and he's kind of at a loss for words. And he looks at Roussier. He says, was it worth it?
What do you think?
Girl, I'm not talking to you. Roussier kind of looks down. She says, I love her to death. She's like, if it was me that had to do it for her, I wouldn't hesitate. She's like, when that thing grabbed me and I could just watch her stare at me, I knew that something was wrong. And Vesper would never let anybody take me. And all she could do is stare, and I was so scared. She's like, so yeah, if I was powerless to watch somebody take her, yeah, I would do it. And if anybody was to stop me, she takes a deep breath, she says, I'd kill them. And she looks at you, and she's got tears in her eyes. She said, I can never thank her enough.
You fail to recognize, see, Vesper has traded her soul for years. I walk out of the room.
Esteval kind of watches Luda leave. You sure you made the right decision?
There's always been one path I was going down, and my soul would have never escaped clean either way.
To be fair, Ward wasn't upset that you did it. He was upset that you didn't have faith in him.
Esteval looks at you, he's like, I understand why you've done it. I just want to make sure that is it the wisest decision. You can't trust Cloth. Cloth is no different from Tiamat. For all you know, Cloth might be playing, you might be playing everybody. He could be playing all sides. You can't trust him.
Probably is.
He's like, and then what? Well, what if the time comes and you're there, and these crowns, and you can prevent them? What if Cloth stops you? Says, then what? He says, what if you're put in a position that it's Cloth or your friends? What do you want to do?
I would sacrifice myself for my friends. My life means nothing.
And he says, with what you've done, it's very obvious. He says, but I hope you know what you're doing.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's what scares me.
I'm playing this all by ear.
He tells you, if you're smart and you're strong-minded, you can use Cloth as much as he used you. But you have to understand the power that that dragon wields.
It's great.
He said, it's enough to crush an army.
I've been to his lair. I know.
He says, so have I. I was one of few men that walked out alive. It's the reason I don't do it anymore. And he says, I can only imagine the terror you felt in there. I watched good men die due to him. And he takes off his armor. And he's just looking you in the eye the entire time. And he kind of unbuttons his shirt. And from this shoulder, from the elbow on the left, all the way across, he is just badly scarred by fire. And he says, I have no strength in this hand. He says, my side constantly aches. He said, there's always a price. He says, when that time comes, I hope you're willing to pay it.
Like I said, I would do anything for my friends.
He says, telling me this means nothing. Obviously, you need to prove it to them.
They'll just have to trust me.
He says, I don't think they have that anymore with you.
Well, if that's what it is, so be it.
He says, you know, lore has it that long ago what you've done wasn't very uncommon. besides the gods, there was dragons. And there was giant kind. And it's almost like that time's coming back, where we were so small compared to all these beings. And we would take their gifts. We would praise them. And we would use that to our advantage. He says, don't be any different. He said, be smart. Prove to them that you're still the same person.
That's what I plan on doing.
He said, obviously you've done this for love. He said, if these people are your family, you love them, don't forget it.
I won't.
He said, I wish I could help you smooth things over with them, but obviously that's something that you need to do on your own. And Vustia kind of holds your hand. She said, we'll do it together.
I'll squeeze her hand.
Says, now go. You must meet your friend Harshnag. You've got quite the day ahead of you.
Yes. It'll be long, I'm sure.